After a lifetime of experience, you'd think finding a partner in your 60s, 70s, or beyond would be a piece of cake. I mean, you know who you are, you know what you want, and the exhausting games of your youth are finally over. So why does it feel harder than ever? Why does it feel like you're hacking your way through a jungle when you were promised a simple walk in the park? If you've ever felt frustrated, invisible, or just plain tired of all the confusing advice that doesn't seem to apply to your life, you're not alone. So many incredible, vibrant seniors are struggling with these exact same feelings. But what if I told you that for a small group of seniors, the smart 1%, dating isn't just successful, it's more fulfilling than it ever was. They're not just lucky, they're being strategic. In this video, we're going to break down the 5 common mistakes that hold most people back and reveal the powerful strategies that top 1% use to find real, lasting happiness. And you'll want to stick around because the third mistake is the one that quietly sabotages more promising connections than any other. Over the years, I've talked with countless seniors and seen the patterns of what works and what absolutely doesn't in today's dating world. The difference between those who struggle and those who thrive, it's almost never about looks, money, or luck. It's about their mindset and their method. The good news is, the method is something anyone can learn. We're going to pull back the curtain on what those successful daters are doing differently and how you can start doing it today. The first and most common mistake I see is what I call the past tense prison. This shows up in 2 ways. First, you might be comparing every new person to a beloved spouse you've lost or a long-term relationship that ended. That person becomes a ghost in the room, an impossible standard that no one new can ever live up to. The other way this prison traps you is by trying to date like you did in your 20s or 30s, expecting the same rules to apply. But life is different now, and so are you. For many seniors who have been widowed or divorced, there's even a feeling of being unfaithful if they date, which creates a huge emotional hurdle. So, what do the smart 1% do differently? They operate with present-day power. They consciously give themselves permission to heal and rebuild their lives as whole, single individuals before they even think about dating. This isn't about forgetting the past, it's about honoring it without letting it control the future. They ask themselves one powerful question: what do I need in a partner today? Not 30 years ago, not for the person I used to be, but for who I am right now. They know their needs have evolved. Maybe companionship is now more important than fiery passion, or shared values mean more than shared hobbies. By focusing on the present, they open themselves up to what a new kind of happiness can look like, without the pressure of trying to recreate an old one. They let the past inform them, but they don't let it define them. The second major roadblock is the digital disconnect. Let's be honest, the world of dating apps can feel like a foreign country. Many seniors fall into one of 2 traps. Either they avoid it completely, which seriously shrinks the dating pool, or they dive in with no strategy at all. They end up using outdated photos, writing generic profiles that say absolutely nothing, or worse, ignoring critical safety rules. A profile that just says, "Ask me anything," is a huge missed opportunity. It has no personality and won't attract the right kind of person. The smart 1% use a smart online strategy. They get that online dating is just a tool, and like any tool, you have to know how to use it. First, they pick reputable platforms that are actually designed for mature singles. Second, they create profiles that are authentic and compelling. They use recent, clear photos that really show their personality, and they write a bio that's specific and honest. Instead of, "I like to have fun," they'll say, "I love spending Sunday mornings trying new coffee shops and walking by the lake." They know their profile is an advertisement for the life they actually lead. Most importantly, they are relentlessly safe. They always video chat before meeting to make sure the person is who they say they are. They keep conversations on the app at first because scammers always want to move to text or email right away. First dates are always in a public place, and they always let a friend or family member know their plans. And they never, ever share financial information or send money. By being open to the technology but smart about the risks, they open up a world of new people while keeping themselves safe. This brings us to the mistake I mentioned earlier, the one that derails more promising connections than any other, the all-or-nothing trap. So many seniors re-enter the dating world putting immense pressure on every single interaction. Every coffee date becomes a secret audition for a life partner. If they don't feel a soulmate connection in the first 10 minutes, they write it off as a failure and get discouraged, often giving up way too soon. This mindset is exhausting. It puts way too much weight on finding the one and makes you miss all the other wonderful possibilities dating can bring. The successful 1% use what I call the portfolio approach. They understand that dating after 60 isn't just about finding a new spouse. It's about ending isolation and enriching their lives. They see dating as building a portfolio of different connections. Some of those connections might turn into great friendships. Some might become fun travel companions. Some might be for a little light romance. And yes, one might just blossom into a deep, long-term partnership. They are clear about what they're looking for, whether it's casual or committed, and they communicate that honestly. By taking the pressure off every single date, they're more relaxed, they're more themselves, and they're more open to seeing where a connection might naturally go. This lets them actually enjoy the journey and build a richer social life, whether they find a partner tomorrow or a year from now. The fourth mistake is hiding your reality. After a whole lifetime, our stories are rich, but they can also feel complicated. Seniors often feel insecure about their age, their health, their financial situation, or even their family dynamics, like having adult kids still at home. So, they're tempted to fudge the details, use a 15-year-old photo, or dodge questions about their past. But this strategy is built on fear, and it always crumbles. It kills trust before it can even start and makes a real connection impossible. The smart 1% practice radical authenticity. They get a fundamental truth. Your life experience is not a weakness. It is your greatest asset. They own their story, the good, the bad, and the lessons learned. They are honest about who they are today, knowing that the right person will be drawn to their real self. This doesn't mean you lay out your entire life story on the first date, but it does mean being upfront about your values and what's truly important to you. Women, in particular, often tell me they fear being used as a nurse with a purse, a caretaker and a source of money. Being authentic means you are crystal clear about what you are and are not willing to do in a relationship. That confidence is magnetic. It signals self-worth and maturity, which are incredibly attractive qualities. The smart daters know they aren't looking for just anyone. They're looking for someone who fits with their actual life, not a fantasy one. And finally, the fifth mistake that trips so many people up is having weak boundaries. After years of being part of a couple or a full-time caregiver, it can be really hard to say no. Loneliness can make you overly accommodating, causing you to ignore red flags or put up with behavior you know isn't right, all because you're scared of being alone again. You might get pushed into moving faster than you're comfortable with, or end up in a one-sided relationship where your needs are always an afterthought. This only leads to resentment and heartbreak. The successful 1% act as the CEO of their own life. They know that setting healthy boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about creating a safe space for a respectful, balanced relationship to grow. Before they even go on a single date, they get crystal clear on their non-negotiables. Maybe it's about how often they see someone, maintaining their financial independence, or having their time with family respected. They communicate these boundaries clearly and calmly, without feeling guilty. And most importantly, they are willing to walk away if those boundaries aren't respected. This isn't being difficult. It's called self-respect. It sends a clear message that they value themselves, and it automatically filters out people who aren't capable of a healthy partnership. So, what's the real shift that separates the 99% who struggle from the 1% who succeed? It's moving from a passive, hopeful mindset to an active, strategic one. It's realizing that you are in the driver's seat of your own love life. Success isn't about getting lucky, it's about being present, being smart online, diversifying your goals, being radically authentic, and being the CEO of your life. Dating in this chapter isn't a consolation prize, it's the main event, and you get to play it with more wisdom, clarity, and self-awareness than ever before. You've got the experience. Now you have the roadmap. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you seen out there, or maybe even made yourself? What's the biggest lesson you've learned from dating after 60? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. And if this video hit home for you, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We have so much more to talk about on this journey to finding happiness and connection at any age. Thanks for watching Aged and Confused, and I'll see you in the next one.